Hey, YouTubers, Tasman here, bringing you another episode of Fantasy Grounds Unity from the ground up. Uh, and as all these ones, these are the, what was it, 1.4 dot whatever version of it. So it should be the latest and greatest version. I've been trying to keep it updated as we go. Um, but anyway, let's continue on. So we're almost done talking just about the interface and how it works. We're definitely going to go into more detail on all the different things that it has to offer. We're just kind of showing you and demonstrating the actual interface. So in the last one, we finished off with doing notes, and now we're going to talk about characters. So this is where all your players' characters will be. If we click on it, we'll get the little character screen popping up. As you can see here, this will have a list of all the characters. Now it will show the portrait and the name underneath them. I believe it might also say the level and stuff like that. Right now we don't have any, but it kind of works the same way as our other types of windows. We have the little edit list, which makes it so we can remove items that are in there. But we also have an additional thing here. We actually have an import character. So if we click on this, if we have a character that we've exported, we can actually come into here, into the import character, and then actually click on import character file. And this will open up a browser window where we can actually find said file, which generally, when you do it, will be inside your campaigns, I believe. Actually, you can put them wherever you want. I think I usually even create a folder that I call, I think I call it assets, and then inside of there, usually I do that. You might notice that if you've watched my Foundry VTT from the ground up, that I do like to kind of put all my own custom stuff in its own folder that all the different worlds can share, all the different campaigns in this case can share. So then it's an XML file that it will end up importing, and then you just click on it, click open, and it will show it here, and then you can go back and it will actually have the character here. Now, we also have this character wizard, which is actually a really nice thing, which we're going to go into great detail with. We have a search box so we can search our characters. We can simply just come in here and add a character, which will generate a character sheet and show us. This is basically what it'll do. We have our character sheet. We're not going to go great detail on this either, but the important things is, you have your main with your abilities, saves, your AC, speed, all that, your HP, your name, class, level, background, race, all that fun stuff is on this first page. Then over here, you'll notice on the side, there's this little tab system. The next one will be our skills. Neat thing about Fantasy Grounds is you can actually, if you want to add Thieves Tools as one of your skill proficiencies, you can actually add it in here yourself. As I said, we will be going over that. We have our abilities, feats, features, traits, proficiencies, and languages. We have our inventory of our character. We have notes, where you can put your personality traits, all those fun stuff that comes with your background. You can put your size, weight, all that. If you're doing adventure leagues, they have this whole little section here for doing your adventure league number, the faction you're in, and then you can actually keep little notes on your adventures you're doing. Now, the notes are basically just one-line type things here. We can click on them, and then we can actually add just a little bit more information in here as to what is happening, what our starting gold is, downtime, all that fun stuff, just so you can keep track of all this stuff. So you can do that. If we do that, we can go ahead and get rid of it. Then we have our actions, and this is where your spells will be, your weapon attacks, and the actual damage and all that fun stuff will be. So that is kind of that, and we will, like I said, we'll go in greater detail of all that stuff in a later video. So then we have campaigns. Now this is a part that's not going to be really available to your players. They're not going to see this because this is going to be all your top secret campaign stuff. Your different encounters, you can actually set them up. You can have a random encounter, like a little generator here, where you can click on that and then add a random encounter. And you just kind of drag in the NPCs you want to add to the encounter, and it will go ahead and generate it, which is really nice. Once again, other things we're going to be going over at a later date. If we come back, we're in random. Oh, we just hit close. And then we have our standard encounters. Once again, add, edit, all that fun stuff. You can actually have your own groups. The groups are kind of strange the way they work. So you would click this little plus, and then you would click on the group itself. To edit it, you actually have to click on the plus minus, and then we can actually say, I don't know, wilderness. And then we can actually have our wilderness encounter. And then anything that we want to add to the wilderness encounter, we just do it with it selected. If you by chance, have something that maybe you added an encounter, let's just add a basic one, test encounter here. Hit OK. Oops, not OK. Hit lock and then close. So here's our test encounter. It's in the all right now, so it's basically in a generic one. If we want to move it into our wilderness, we need to pop this open. You don't necessarily click on it because it'll go away, but you just want to pop this open, and if you need to scroll up or down, you can do that, and then you simply drag it from there to there, and now you'll see it's actually in wilderness encounter. So if we go to uncategorize, it's not going to show it, but if we go to all, we'll actually see all encounters and where they're actually located. So hopefully that makes a little sense to you. If you have any questions on any of these things, well, actually go ahead and ask, because it might give me ideas of other things we want to add to the videos when we're going in more detail on those. So that's our encounters. Images is kind of similar, but also kind of different at the same time. So with images, we can import files, we can create from our campaign assets, and we can also go to the store and get things. Once again, you have same thing here with your groups. You can always do that. Most things will have these groups that you can do. But if we want to create a new image, what we do is click the plus, and we can actually link in an image from that. We can also drag, I believe we drag an image into here. Hold on. So we can use this as a drawing. I'm trying to remember. Actually, I think we just do import from here. So right now we have our blank one right there. But if we want to import one, we'd come here, and I don't know that I have any on the system. There might be something under Foundry, under assets, maps maybe. So if we wanted to do like this Elf Song Tavern, we would just click open, and it will automatically open it up and create it for us. And there we go. And then if we stretch this out and zoom in, you can see there's our little Elf Song Tavern. Now with the images and stuff like this, we have our options, and this is going to be a whole nother video set itself, because there's lots and lots of stuff that you can do with images. Is it middle click? There we go. It's middle click. Foundry is right click to move things. This is middle click, the mouse wheel basically. So here we have what I'm calling Elf Song Tavern. I don't remember if I actually found this on Google and it was called Elf Song Tavern, or I was just using it myself as Elf Song Tavern. But you have various things we can do in here. We have the layers for all the different things. We can have, tiles. We can add walls and all that fun stuff. We can paint on it. We can add effects to it, such as, we can make it so it's raining. I don't know if there you can kind of see it maybe. I'm not sure how good YouTube's going to show that. Blizzard will probably show pretty well. So we can have this nice blizzard going on that's just going to, kind of changes direction. It goes fast and then it stops and then it goes the other direction. To me, it kind of looks like it's doing this right now. Just wiggling back and forth. So anyway, we do have all these neat little options. You can adjust colors, so you can, if there's an adjustment layers, I guess what that would be considered. You can have the time of the day set up in it, or we can go back to none so it's not so busy. We have walls for line of sight. We have lights. We have masks. Right now with Foundry, if you want masks, you actually have to have a third-party module. It's free, but in order to have walls and masks, you would need that. Where Foundry Fantasy Grounds actually has that built-in native, which is kind of nice. And then we also have our grid, so we can set up our grids. So we'll be going into much greater detail. One thing I do like also here is that you can see this little ID here. So this is the name of the thing, and this is the name that will be displayed if it's set to not identified. So if we do that, our players will actually see unidentified map image. So we could just call this a tavern or something like that. And then over here, we could call it Elf Song Tavern because we actually know the name of it, right? And until we come in and we mark this as an ID'd map, it will actually show up as just tavern. So kind of neat little thing there. Not so useful, say, with this map. But, for example, if this was the big battle of Doom or something like that, and I don't want my players to know that this is a big battle of Doom, I could just have it called Tavern instead of a name that I can recognize it by, because this is the name that it will be actually shown in here. If we go back in here, we can go delete our new image one. If we come down to Elf Song Tavern here, that's the name we see it as, and they would see it just as Tavern. Or, this could be maybe just to give more of an example, the Big Bad's Tavern, right? We don't want them to know this is where the bad guy is. So hopefully that makes sense. And like I said, be patient. We will definitely be going in more detail. The other thing I want to bring up really quick is that we have this little toolbar that kind of gives us really quick navigation and tips for players and stuff. So let's go ahead and close that out and we'll move on. Yeah, I think that's everything we need there. All right, the next thing we have is items. So you can create your own items. You'll notice the items actually has these top things. We have the armor here, which is the default armor that it gives you in the various books. Because this is just the SRD, basically all we're going to see is that. You'll notice we actually have 5 pages. There's page 2, 3, 4, and 5. And each of these, once again, you might have a buckler, you might have a dragon head. It depends on the theme you have. I usually just use the gray because it doesn't, like the dragon one, I think it's called Dungeon Dragon, actually has a big old dragon that pops up here, and it makes it so I can't actually have as much real estate. I like to have these really kind of nice small bars, so if I want to minimize them or whatever, by doing that, it's pretty easy. I guess I didn't even talk about that. So anyway, we have our armor here. We have weapons, which are the standard weapons. You get all kinds of good information here. We got our cost. We have our damage. Just a real quick, explaining of what they are. You can see it's a +2 hand axe here. Its cost is anywhere between 501 and 5,000 gold. So you can either have a random table that rolls how much it's actually going to go for. There's its damage. These are its properties. It's handy. And then we have our templates. So these are weapon templates to create your own weapons. And we'll be going over those as well, because those are kind of what you use in the Forge here. So with the Forge, what you would do is you would take a template, add it to this side, and add an item to this side, and it basically will merge those two items together. So once again, we have our groups here. We have a list of all items. You can see there's 31 pages. This includes the armor, the items, the weapons. Everything is in this list. You can search. The all here is telling you that it's all items. This is items that are shared. So if you're sharing items, or I think that's it, shared, right? Yes. So if they're shared items, it will I believe the shared is if you're using this as a free player, shared would be the items that are being shared with you from the table you're connected to, where all is going to show everything all up front. So yeah, this right here where you can type in a name, like if we wanted arrows, AROW, and hit enter, you can see we have basically only one page of arrows, but now it's all sorted by arrows. And then it highlights this as red to let you know that if you're not seeing something, like if I come in here and I'm looking for bag of holding, and it's like, wait, how come I have so few items? It's because I actually have a filter set. So if we get rid of that and then hit enter, it will actually go away. Then we have here our attunement. Basically, you go here and say yes or no. There's the little magnifying glass here to tell you, it's a search filter. We have the rarity if we're doing magical, it's like common, artifact, legendary, rare. So it kind of sorts that way. Keep forgetting you don't just click off. And then we have type, which is it adventuring gear, mounts, armor, potion, ring, scroll, all that fun stuff. Go back up. And like I said, anytime you change one of these, it will change it red to remind you that you're not seeing everything anymore. You're actually seeing a filtered version. You can add your own items, and you can edit the list. You'll notice that when we do click edit, the reason we don't have any little red minuses is because these are all from different books and stuff, and we can't actually delete those. So that's kind of a protection for you, which is kind of nice. In fact, well, you can obviously see here, this is the SRD magic items. This is just our SRD data and stuff like that. So that is our items. Next we have NPCs. Kind of the same thing we have going on with the others. We can actually do quick sorts of our window here. Right now it's by letter is the default. So now you can see, well, it's kind of that way anyway, but you can see it's by default, and then you can see the CR off to the side here. We do by CR, so now everything's sorted by the CR first and then the letter. So you're still sorting by ABC, but the primary sort is actually here. If we go all the way down to where we have our next one, you'll see that even though that's W, that's B. That's kind of standard sorting. And then by type, so we can actually say, are they aberration, aboleth, they Cthulhu, cloaker, so on and so forth. And so this is going to say these are aberrations, so that's the A, and then once again we are sorting by those inside. All right, moving on, then we have our list here. Once again, we have the same things here. We can actually import an NPC file, which once again will be an XML file that we have saved somewhere. We can add our own, and then we have our edit list. And then we can also set up our filters. We can filter by CR. So if we only want to see, here we have to see it all, and we just have to scroll until we find the right CR. If we only want, say, CR2, we just click on that guy, and there you go. Now we only have CR2 creatures. Now, this is not linked to this in any shape, way, or form. If I click CR2 here, we still see that these are 0 and so on and so forth. All right, so that pretty much is the NPCs. There's a lot more, once again, to go over those. Next thing we have is parcel. These are kind of, a parcel would be kind of like a loot package, like things you, like when you loot a creature, it might not have only a single thing on it. It will have a couple things. It'll have some money and stuff like that. So we can come in here and actually create a parcel, and we can say, okay, it's going to have, you know, 5 platinum pieces, maybe, let's not do any of that. Let's do 10 gold pieces and maybe 200 copper pieces. I don't know. Then we can also add our items in here. So this would maybe be boss loot. Like that. And then if we go grab maybe a couple items, let's put some +2 arrows in there. Let's actually have it be 20. So there are 20 of them. Maybe he had a bag of holding, some bagpipes for whatever reason. Let's see, maybe some chainmail, his chainmail, something like that. So here we can see we have a list of his items here. We can lock this so it's no longer editable. And now we have this boss loot. If we click on it, we can see what it is. Where this actually is really handy is if we go into tools and we have the party sheet, and they actually get you know, kill the boss and loot it. All you have to do is drag this into here, and it will actually add everything in there for you. And then you can divvy it out to players. You can assign it to players. Right now we don't have any, so you don't see anything there, but you can also equally divide out the gold. If they want to sell these things, that's what this little guy right here. So after you've done everything else, you can click this little arrow and it will sell it, but it's going to sell it at 50% of its value. So if we click sell, let's say they didn't want any of this stuff, you click sell. We can't actually sell the superior arrows because they don't actually have a set cost on them. And we can actually see that if you go in here, it probably has a range 101 to 500 gold pieces. So because of that, you don't know. Now here's another example that I was showing you. So when your players pick this up, it will simply say bag. They won't actually know it's a bag of holding, but once you mark it as identified, then it will actually say bag of holding. So that's kind of a nice little thing. I don't think I can actually drag any of these down because I don't have any players. Usually you can just choose the players. So kind of a bad example, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and just delete everything. Actually, I didn't want to delete that one. I wanted to delete the values, not the actual. Let's go ahead and add PP back. For platinum pieces. And then there we go. I think we can rearrange it, but I've never actually done that before. Sad. So anyway, that just gives you an idea of loot or parcels. There are modules out there that will actually generate automatically based off, it'll go when a character dies, it will actually go create a parcel. As far as I know, that's not in Native Foundry. You still have to actually do that through a module. They call them mods in this. All right, moving on. We have our quests. So here you can set up quests, which is awesome. Once again, it's kind of like the other. You can have your quest, the CR level of that quest, the XP level that you're going to get, and then you can just put the details of the quest in there and the name of the quest. You know, like World of Warcraft, go kill 5 pigs or something like that and get me 5 livers. For some reason, half the pigs won't have livers, but that's a whole different thing. So that's your quests right there. Then we have our story. These are your campaign notes and stuff like that. Once again, you have some templates. You can set up some templates. And then you can just add your stories. These act a whole lot like notes. If we actually, whoops, go add one, you'll see it acts a lot just like a note does. But it's actually called a story, and it's handled a little bit differently. You can add links in there and all that fun stuff, which we'll go over later. And finally, we have tables. These are our different role tables. You'll see that natively it comes with quite a few. I think the is Wild Magic one in here, critical. I don't remember if we loaded those. There's the critical hit right there. So we have a critical hit table, and what you'll see here is this is a critical hit if it rolls a 1 through 4. If it's a 5 or 6, it will actually have a critical hit effect, which will, because it has these little brackets around it, it means it's actually going to call this table, which is the critical hit effect, and it will actually roll a, does it say up here? I don't remember. I don't think it does. So it's going to roll, I believe it's a 1d20, and that will determine what actually happens with the hit, and it will actually output it to chat. So pretty cool stuff there. And that will do it for the campaign section, which is more for the DM, like I said. The final section here is characters, and these are going to be a list of backgrounds. With default D&D, the SRD content, all you have is Acolyte. You don't have any others. You need to have at least the player's handbook to get, the boatload others. But in here, you can actually see what it's basically the same kind of thing that you find in the player's handbook. It has like your table for your personality traits, your ideals, bonds, and flaws. Here you can see it shows the feature Shelter of the Faithful, which basically just says you can always stay at temples for free. And basically all you do when you're creating a character is you just simply drag this onto the character sheet and it will automatically do it. Classes, we have all our classes. We have Barbarian through Wizard. And there's only a couple that aren't considered SRD ones. The Artificer's not in here. Let's see if I recognize any right off the bat. Is it just Artificer? And I am drawing a blank. Yeah, so I can't think of any off the top of my head. But anyway, we can come in here, and this will give you all the information that is in, like, the player's handbook, but this, in case, is just the SRD. So here's your leveling table saying what you get at each level, up to 20. Hit points, proficiencies you get, saving throws are on Strength Constitution. This is your starting equipment, and then it has your different features. And you'll notice if you click on these, it'll say this is level 1. So if you're doing a level 3 character, you can do all of these that are up to level 3. Which there's Action Surge is there, and there's level 3, but then you wouldn't want to add, say, the level 4 one to any of your character. So hopefully that makes sense. Kind of like regular D&D. And then because it is SRD, it only has the martial archetype of a champion. You can get sometimes other information in here, which is just showing you, this is actually kind of giving you the breakdown of those things. The fighting style and second wind is there. Then Action Surge, giving you just a little quicker detail as to what you get when you get it. So you can just drag those or whatever. There's the champion information. A lot of it is the same information you're going to find over here. And I think that will do for classes. Oh, we're at 29 minutes. Feats, kind of same thing. There's only one feat in the SRD, Grappler. In the player's handbook, there's a lot more. I'm going to try. I just want to get through this part. I think we can do it. Then we have our races. Same thing as the others. If we click Elf, we can see some information about their age, what's the default age of an elf, click close there. In other, we get more of that same breakdown, but just kind of in a table format here. It tells you about your subrace, alignment, default, general alignment, size, and all that fun stuff. It should also have, oh, there it is, the ability score improvements. Then we have skills. Now, if you want to, I was showing you how you could actually add your skills in the other area, but you can actually also add them right here. And it doesn't always work. I mean, you have to use, generally, there's actually a program called, I know there's a couple. There's one called Fantasy Module Parser that is for Fantasy Grounds that allows you to, that's starting to, it's being worked on. But there's also one called Parse, or PAR5E, where you can actually add your own custom classes and stuff like that. It does have the add button down here, but it does not parse it correctly, if that makes sense. So let's go ahead and close that. Then, of course, we have our spells, and there's a boatload of spells. Lots of ways we can sort these. So here's all our spells, 7 pages of them. And you can see you can sort by cantrips, which are 0 all the way up to 9. You can say, you know, I only want rituals. So I click on here and say no, yes for rituals. Or I could say the source. What kind of character is supposed to be, what class are the spells for, you know. If I only want cleric spells, I click cleric and bam, there we go. Only cleric spells are showing. If I want to say I only want the cleric cantrips, there we go. We got them sorted. And then you just simply drag these onto your character sheet. All right, we are at just over 30 minutes, and I didn't want to go this long, but I really wanted to get through this part as quick as possible to finish off these last components. And now I would love to hear from you guys what you would actually like to see next. If I don't hear anything in time, I'll probably just start jumping into characters, because that's the big one in actually getting people to join your table. Also, in the next episode, for sure, what I'm going to do is, now that you understand the interface, is I will show you how your players can actually join your table. So, yeah, I think that's it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Aside from that, comment, like, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. Check out my Discord and my other channels. And don't forget to tell other people about my channel. Have them check it out. If they like what they see, they can sub. You know, we'll just grow the channel. And that is it, my friends. Until next time, I'll be seeing you later. Bye.